In the meantime, let's go to the economy, where it reports that 10 commercial banks in Nigeria generated about 48.5 billion naira from maintaining customers' accounts in the first 6 months of the year 2021, and that is generating reactions from Nigerians. This is because many people are of the view that it is against what they got in the year 2020 for same account maintenance charges on customer savings, current and term deposits. They say it has become another way for banks to cheaply fleece their customers. And TVC News' Abiola Sholanke has more for us in this Journalists Hangout Weekend Special.
Nigeria, a nation with a population of about 200 million, has about 22 commercial banks serving the people in urban and the rural areas. A new investigative report says banks deducted 48.5 billion naira from customers' accounts as charges for maintaining those accounts in just 6 months. That's between January and June 2021. Account maintenance costs are levied on all customers' initiated debit transactions, and the banks collect these fees at the time of the transaction. The amount debited is at least 10% of total customers' deposits as at the end of June. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in another report, disclosed that it recovered 89.2 billion naira, being excess and illegal charges slammed on customers by banks. These deductions, which the banks cannot explain sometimes, explain why many Nigerians do not keep their money in the bank.
The first one that was deducted from my account is 100 naira. They say it's current account. I don't know if they call it. I don't know if it is that. I don't know the name they call it, sir. But when I went there, I complained. They said that charges. So later I forgot about that one. Then about a month after that, they removed 200 naira. I went there. So that's why I did not use that account again. I have to go and open another account because of all those charges.
Nigeria, I believe it's only the Central Bank of Nigeria that could help us. Because even if I'm making any transaction, either on my mobile phone, they'll be debiting me. All those charges, I don't know where it's coming from. In my bank, also, if I'm using ATM as well, they'll be deducting money. And there's no way, there's nobody I can complain about. There's nobody I can complain to. I believe it's the Central Bank of Nigeria that could help us. This thing is getting out of hand.
Many people have expressed displeasure with such excessive deductions, which they see as fraudulence.
At any point in time, maybe you have cause to print your statement of account, because it happened to me almost 2 months ago when one of my younger brothers came to lodge certain complaint to me. It needed me to come to bank to print my bank statement for a month. When I perused what actually happened, there's a certain charges, even I didn't receive the SMS. But when I saw it on the paper, I discovered that no, when this transaction came in, of course it may be mega, 30 naira, 40 naira, 20 naira. When you look at it together, it becomes something.
I've done some line transactions that they deduct money. In fact, using most of these apps for paying NEPA, bill, DSTV, they just deduct your money. You go to the bank, so they react to you that they are going to refund it, but at the end you won't get any money back. So just wake up 15 naira, 20 naira, and this money, they are very small, although they are small, but they are something.
First time I was charged twice for a particular service, which was not supposed to be so, and till today it was not reverted. And another experience, the second experience I had to do with, I think, this SMS alert charges. I will be charged without being notified. It's when I will check. By the time I check my account balance, that's when I will discover that I have been debited without being notified. I think this is as a lack of good policy on the part of the government.
There are different reasons put up by banks for fees debited, but Paul Francis has another story to tell.
I had a bad experience once where POS transactions were constantly being duplicated and deducted from our accounts for several reasons, some varying from customers complaining that the transaction failed, so they applied for reversals of their debits. So the banks don't verify from the vendors whether or not these claims by customers are true, but yet they just go ahead and dip their hands into the account and deduct.
Nigerians and civil society organizations are asking the CBN to implement policies that will check the excesses of the commercial banks in the interests of the people.
We don't want to charge the relevant authority. The CBN need to look into this crazy charges. At the same time, what was the report, or what is going to the report available by the Ubansani-led committee in the Senate that truly address the challenge and the public uproar regarding these crazy charges on our banking sector?
I think government should stand up against it by having a very strong policy to guide against it, because it's not supposed to be so.
The banks are supposed to have feedback, like a survey from feedback from their customers. Even if you go to the bank or banking hall, so you just be posting don't worry, we do it. After like 3 days, they are going to refund it, but they deduct 20 naira, 30 naira, and you are going to the bank spending like 100 naira, 200 naira to go and complain. So just discover that this one, it doesn't need it. Let me.
Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, BKO, what is your own experience of this, crazy charges?
I have to talk about my experience here. Look, my blood will boil. I think that if the CBN really wants to show Nigerians that it is up to its job, it should do a lot more. I was reading about some of the steps that the CBN has taken. And the CBN, as of June this year, had received 23,526 complaints from bank customers, about illegal deductions. I'm not even so bothered about this so-called maintenance fee and other charges on people's account. Illegal deductions. Nigerians are losing money without knowing it. There are many who put money in the banks and they don't care. So the banks will be nibbling at your money without your knowledge. The CBN recovered 89 billion excess and illegal charges in August 2021. And the report says that this was as at the end of June. So I know that between that June and December, they probably will recover more than 89 billion again. Excess and illegal charges. People's hard-earned monies being illegally taken by banks. That's stealing. So the CBN got complaints, investigated those complaints, and forced the banks to send such monies back to their owners. You can imagine what 89 billion could do, taken illegally from people's accounts. That's the problem.
And when you even look at this amount of complaints, the 23,000 plus Nigerians that there will still be much more Nigerians who are not even aware of their rights to complain. If you look at the volume of displeasure from many Nigerians, GKB.
Well, you have to understand that I call it the nibbling system. When rats come to your nose or teeth and they are nibbling at it, you will not feel the pain until the morning when you realize that the skin is almost off. That's what I call the bankers in Nigeria today. They nibble at people's money in such a manner that, like the man said, they will be 100 naira today to go to the bank. To require nothing less than 500 naira. So now look at the opportunity cost. Do I let go of 100 naira and spend 500 naira to fight for 100 naira? So imagine that across the 50-something million Nigerian bank customers. That's 50 million times 100 naira. And that's happened nothing less than 3-4 times a month to everybody. You and I know that when it comes to the end of the month, there are some charges that they remove that does not correspond with the money in the accounts. For example, people will be charging you maintenance fees on an account that is redundant. So at the end of the day, you are owing the bank money from your own account that you have not operated for years. And they put it there, you are owing them X, Y, Z. When it's obvious, whatever money you left there has been deducted over time to cause this problem. So we are in the middle of a scam, and it's up to the CBN to solve the problem. But they too have not been serious, because don't forget what happened to late last year about this charging us for internet transfer. After all the noise, it's back to charging us heavily.
And no communication.
And nobody is saying anything anymore.
Right.
The exact thing we complain about is back. And CBN has not done anything to it.
All right, let's at this point now bring in forensic accountant Uriade Adeyemo. Welcome to Journalist Hangout Sunday Special. The general perception out there for many bank customers is that they are being fleeced by their banks, and there's nothing much, to resonate on the side of, management like the CBN now to stop this worrisome trend. All right, it appears we just lost connection with Mr. Adeyemo at this time now. But BKO, what more can the CBN do to stop this trend?
The CBN says it is determined to deepen faith in the system. If people know that when they keep money with banks will simply be taking their money illegally, a lot of them will not want to put money in those banks. How many Nigerians, for example, are keeping their dollars in the banks? A lot of the people who have tons of dollars, they keep it in their houses, including people who made illegal money, rogues in high places who collect bribes in dollars and convert to dollars. They don't use the banks because they don't want anything to happen to their money, So many people will be discouraged from using the banks, and they will begin to put money under their pillows if they are not sure that the bank won't simply be where they did not sow. I mean, if the CBN can recover 89 billion in a period of 6 months, you can imagine how much Nigerian bank customers are losing. So I want to encourage the CBN to do this a lot more. Work harder at discovering those illegal charges, investigate genuine complaints, and ensure that people don't lose their money needlessly, as we are seeing now. These are difficult times. Every kobo counts. Why should banks be taking all of this money off our people? We are accusing our people of not banking enough, and you are stealing 89 billion, calling it excess charges or illegal. It's stealing. There's no other name for it. It's stealing, downright stealing. And it has to stop. Banks must be punished severely if they are found to constantly steal depositors' funds. Then they should be severely punished. This, in my view, will limit or even put an end to this trend.
No, especially now that more and more Nigerians are urged to embrace cashless transactions, and I don't know, one would say, is this a price that we have to pay for doing cashless transactions for other, like you were saying, now is it until we now have to revert to keeping monies in our own, taking care of our own monies ourselves, or what do you think? How much good do you think the CBN can do at this time?
Every policy decision by the CBN has been undermined by the banks, and nothing has happened. That's the problem we face now. Look at all these new fangled money, what do you call them? Those people that carry something around. In my area, anywhere you see those people, the ATMs of those banks stop dispensing. It's automatic. Once you see 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, no need to bother going to the banks. The ATMs will not work. And I can tell you across the board that the way we are going, people will simply stop going to the banks and revert to cash transactions. Because we are punishing people for trusting in that policy of cashless. That's why people said it's not even across the board. It's selected states that this law is applied to. And that to them is cheating. Because if you are still carrying cash in excess in state A, B, C, D, and we are punishing state D, E, F for being cashless, something is wrong. We need to, either we apply it across the board, let us go cashless everywhere, or cancel the damn thing. Or cancel the thing.
Thanks for that correction. But this is just a bit of grievances that many Nigerians have. I know there are some people that they say that's why they even try to encourage that men, women should share
even
relevant
kids.
bank information with their dependents, with their next of kin, because there are so many people that they've long gone, they are long gone, having to extract their savings. They also have ordeals to tell on the part of next of kin.
Yes.
It does appear that there is not much regulation of bank operations. I don't know whether it is a problem of a customer that doesn't speak out. We rather choose to suffer in silence. I don't know. There's a culture that also needs to be corrected on our part.
I think that people need to be more vigilant. A lot of us don't really care. We don't go to the banks from time to time. And even when we suspect that we've been fleeced, we just say, let it go. But when you say let it go, you are allowing an individual or a corporate entity to reap where it did not sow. And in these difficult times, I believe that is a wrong approach. So let Nigerians get more serious about monitoring what goes on in their bank accounts, because if money gets taken from your account illegally, you will be in position to raise the red flag. How come I was levied this kind of money? So look at the problem between GTB and the innocent man. Illegal charges, and the matter went to court. So it's just, if at that level, at that high level, that is still happening, then how about the ordinary Nigerians? So I just hope that there will be greater vigilance, and people will know that, look, they can't simply put money in the banks and
go to sleep.
All right, GKB, your final words on this. But if you look at the years back, the sanitization on the part of CBN on bank executives and all that, do you see that something like that happening anytime soon, where perhaps we'll have a tighter form of regulation on the part of the CBN and bank executives? They will sit up, we'll have more shareholders speaking out. How do you hope we can get a saner banking experience on the part of us customers?
Well, in the past I thought that the answer would be stop appointing bankers to CBN. Just like they do now at EFCC. Appoint people whose career is tied to the CBN from the beginning. Because the last 2-3 CBN governors have been bankers. So it seems that they cannot control their members, even the Institute of Banking.
They are helping their
because that's what I thought, that we need to, just like I said, not like they are doing in the FCC now, make it a career. Stop bringing policemen to FCC. Stop bringing bankers to CBN. Make it a career choice from the beginning. That once you are in CBN or in certain areas, you progress through the system and run the system. Because the moment you appoint a banker, he knows all the tricks. And it's not to go against what he considers his primary constituency.
His constituency, yes.
All right, let me bring in our forensics accountant at this point now. Mr. Oriade Adeyemo, it's good to have you on the program. So what do you make of this alleged sharp practices on the part of bank officials with this illegal deductions? All these high charges.
Yes, thank you very much. For me, all these serious bank charges, they are you understand. One, it is killing the average Nigerian bank customers. It's killing businesses, and what it does is to erode confidence in the Nigerian banking industry. Unfortunately, most Nigerians don't know that this type of illegal bank charges exist. Most Nigerians don't know. Because one of the reasons is that, one, they are not being educated. Two, they don't even have access to their statement of account. What most people do is they only take the alleged balances thrown at them by the bank. So, and you see, all these serious charges, they come in different shapes. They come in different forms. One of the ways it comes is through charges which are legitimized by the Central Bank of Nigeria, but which ought not to be. Then another way is through charges that the CBN found out has been totally illegal, but have been imposed on the statement on customer statement of account, and for which the customers can do absolutely nothing about, at least in court, do nothing absolutely about it in court in order to recover them. So it's a two-way thing, but you see the ultimate beneficiary of all these serious charges are the banking industry. They are just laughing to the boss. They are just smiling every time you see them declaring 100 billion naira quarterly profit after tax, quarterly, big hundreds of billions of naira, and yet it does not reflect on the welfare of even their staff. It doesn't. So I don't really know what the Nigerian banks are doing with all the serious, the super profit they are making, because they are basically, the Nigerian banking industry has become rent seekers. They don't let the give to the customers. They don't let to SMEs. They don't get to the office.
But Mr. Oriade, so what is the way out now to this anomalies, and how can regular bank customers have a better experience, especially where their monies are concerned?
One. The way out is through education, and that can only be done by the central bank. They have a communication department. It's the duty of the communication department of the CBN to sensitize Nigeria, to let them know their rights. But unfortunately, I don't know what the department is doing. Then, secondly, Nigerians should demand for their rights. The law is that on a monthly basis, your bank should send to you your statement of account, free of charge. That is the law. But may I ask, how many bank customers receive their monthly statement of account? I, for one, I do not receive. I don't know for others. So it becomes very difficult for a customer to know how the banks have been taking this charge.
Stay on the topic.
Now, for those who eventually get their statement of account, let them go through the statement of account. If they find any charge there that was never agreed with them before the imposition on the statement of account, they should write to the bank and ask the bank, please explain these charges. If you cannot explain them, please refund them within 2 weeks. If after 2 weeks, upon the receipt of your petition or complaint to the bank, it is not done, then you can then escalate it to the Central Bank of Nigeria the Consumer Protection Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Consumer Protection Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And my advice is for Nigerians to continue to pursue their case. Because most Nigerians, they don't want to pursue their case at all. So they leave everything to those banks. So, and that is one of the reasons why the Nigerian economy is going under.
Let's talk about even some of these charges. COT, for example.
Okay.
What is your view of COT? And then,
yes,
do you also believe that these maintenance charges, the so-called maintenance charges on people's accounts, do you see any need for it?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Toju. Now the issue is this. Prior to January 1 of 2016, on a current account, any alleged withdrawal on a current account is subject to COT, which they call Commission on Turnover. Any alleged withdrawal, but negotiable up to a maximum of 5 naira per mil, that is 5 naira for every 1,000 naira pro rata. Then, in 2013, it was reduced to a maximum of 3 naira. 2014, it was reduced to 2 naira. 2015, it was reduced to 1 naira per mil. Then it was now cancelled effective December 31, 2015. Unfortunately, the CBN decided to smuggle in this, what they call the current account maintenance fee. That's the CAMF, current account maintenance fee, to now replace COT. To now replace COT, which they have abolished. Apparently, I may suggest that it was done so that to continue to give the banks the opportunity to steal money from customers' accounts. That's just my own interpretation about it. Because why will you cancel a charge, then use another nomenclature to bring it back through the back door, and then give it another name? So for me, I see Nigeria is the only country in the whole world charging COT or CAMF, current account maintenance fee, on current accounts. Nigeria is the only country in the whole world. For me, it's meaningless. Because it's meaningless. Nigeria, and is one of the ways of banks making money. It's one of their biggest earnings. The current account is one of their biggest earnings. Aside the transfer fees and all the rest. There is one of their major earnings. And that is what is making them stay in the banking industry now. That's their mainstay in the banking industry right now. But for me, I want to believe that it should be scrapped. Which account is a bank maintaining? Hey, you have opened your account, What are they maintaining about your account? What is it? To the extent that every time you withdraw money, they also withdraw money from you. In other Senate climes, in fact, when they beg you to come and collect loan, they beg a customer to come and collect loan for his business, and so that the bank can make money from interest. But in Nigeria, no, they don't lend. The Nigerian banking industry, they don't lend at all. So what they do is to seek rent through this current account maintenance fee and other sharp practices in making their money. So they have left the traditional banking. They have relegated it to the background. They're just looking for any sharp means of scamming Nigerians and taking money out of them.
Mr. Oriade, some time ago, the CBN was confronted about some of these issues, these charges, and the argument was that the operating environment in Nigeria is tough, that in some cases banks run on diesel for 24 hours, some of them have 2 generators on site and all that, so they have to create some of these charges so that they can make ends meet and remain in business. Do you buy this explanation?
Not at all. I don't, because all of us are Nigerians. We also do business in the same economy, the Nigerian economy. So why should the banking industries be singled out for such favor? What happens to the average bank customer? What incentive are they giving to the customer? Why must the bank? Because you see, let me tell you. Facts and evidence have proven that the biggest bank in Nigeria is smaller than the smallest bank in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's it. So, and the reason is that the Nigerian banks are using smaller money to do big business, and the margin on their return is too high from what other conventional banks make all over the world. So I don't buy into that idea that the Nigerian banks should be pampered. No. Whatever other Nigerian businesses are suffering, they too should suffer it too. Because by giving them that advantage, it is unfair to other Nigerian businesses. It's unfair to the customers who cannot do without trading with the banks. Because not everybody can put their money under their pillow. So if Nigerians cannot do without the banks, then the banks too, what they ought to do is to beef up their working capital. Let them recapitalize. Let them recapitalize the banking industry. So that at least they have more money to lend. So that they don't have to be stealing money from customers using this current account maintenance. They don't need it. Okay. So that when they lend, they earn more interest.
Mr. Oriade, once again.
So that all these complaints from customers will reduce.
Mr. Oriade, you are known to have taken some banks to court on behalf of customers who felt shortchanged at one point or the other. Can you tell us a bit of what transpired in court?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, fine, I agree. I've had cause as a forensic accountant to investigate a lot of customers' complaints against some banks. And as at 2016, I was managing over 400 of such cases throughout Nigeria. Now, my experience has been that the Nigerian banks are now beginning to understand that they don't have a monopoly of violence against their customers. Initially, because nobody was challenging them. No customers used to run away from the banks anytime the banks come knocking on their door that they are owing. So, the banks were acting with impunity and reckless abandon. So it was, it's either you take the statement of account, we are prepared for you, take it or leave it. But because customers have now decided to enforce their rights against them in court, the stories are now changing. If you check the newspapers for the past 5 years or 6 years, you hardly see where a bank will publish in the newspapers that so customer, they have taken the customer to court, the customer has run away. No, because go to court, the customers are not taking the fight to the banks. And there have been a lot of landmark judgments against banks. Remember Inosi versus GTB? Remember Inosi versus GTB? And several others like that. So the customers now know that they are protected by law and that they will not succumb to any threat or intimidation by banks. And that is basically what is happening now. And I think the CBN too is beginning to understand that. And the banks too are beginning to see that, these customers, they too also have rights. It is not only the banks that have a right to make a demand for for whatever is being owed to them. The customers too are also human beings. They are recognized by law, and they have rights attached to them by law.
All right,
so
Mr.
that's the situation we have presently.
Mr. Riade Adeyemo, forensic accountant, thank you very much for speaking to us on Journalist Hangout Sunday Special. And that's our program for you and this Sunday Special. I must say a big thank you to BKO and GKB for your contributions on the program today.
Always a pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.
And that's